Greetings, Patrick here. Am here. Welcome to the show. Wow, seems like I just got done doing this, didn't I? I think I did a few hours ago. Anyway, welcome to Eight Questions with. I'm your host, Patrick, and tonight we'll be talking with podcaster and screenwriter and special effects master Beau Batterson will be here with us in about 15 minutes. He is from the great state of Iowa, and right now I have to say I'm super stoked to meet him. He wrote and produced a absolutely gem of a short film called The Last Minute Till Midnight, which I absolutely fell in love with. And what's really cool is I'm able to review it after this interview, which I'm very excited about. I don't do reviews. I don't do film reviews before I do interviews. I just don't. I do interviews first, and then I let people know that I'm going to review their film, and because I don't want any misperceptions about what I'm watching. Um, I just call it as I see it, which I'm already doing right now because the last minute till midnight is an absolute gem. Hey, Jaden, how are you? How are you? Glad you're here. Glad you're here. Um, let's see. I put down Beau's Instagram page, and I pinned it to the top. So if you're watching this on the replay, scroll to the top, and that's where you'll find Beau's information. Plus, I have it down below in the description box as well. Um, like I said, Beau does a podcast called Big Thunder. It talks about all things Disney. So this is gonna be a lot of fun right here because, um, Disney. I like Disney a lot. I've been to Disneyland a few times. Of course, you know what's going on with them now during the war with Ron DeSantis, how it's affecting their business. Of course, Disney Plus. Of course, they're now they own, pretty much own Marvel. Um, you know, how they handling that property. Geez, I don't know what they were doing for their fall schedule, but Disney's definitely laid an egg there. That's a horrific looking fall schedule. I don't know anybody who's going to be watching anything on that channel. Hey Sue, how are you? Just calling it like it is. Like I said, I mean, I always like to read what they call the upfronts, and basically that's when all the networks come out there with all their shows that they're going to be putting on during the fall, whether it be returning shows or brand new shows. And so they come out there and they show everybody what they have. They're basically trying to sell their shows to advertisers, trying to get the advertisers money. And the ABC lineup is really, really bad, really bad. Um, yeah. Um, which is interesting because I read a story yesterday in one of the trades. I think it was of Deadline or Variety, and they were talking about streaming services and how what's going on with streaming services that they put out a lot of content. I also put out a lot of short run series, and it causes what they call consumer churning. And what that means is a lot of people are signing up to watch a hot show on say on Netflix. They're signing up for a month to watch that hot show, but then that's it. Then they sign off. So they're not getting consistent people to stay. It's like they can sit there and say that yes, we got 12 million new subscribers this month, but they could also be also saying, but we lost 12 million because the other 12 million that signed last month are no longer signed up this month, and so it churns the water, so to speak. Um, well, what they're talking about, and Netflix is now doing it, they're trying to sit there and say, well, maybe even though linear broadcasting is on the way out, pretty much like physical media, like they're saying, um, well, maybe they can go back to what was new. What's new was what's old, and that is now some of these streamers are no longer doing that. They're no longer just doing like 6 to 8 episode series. Now they're starting to think, well, maybe we need to stretch it out our seasons out a little bit more to retain the people that are watching because Um, all the most popular shows that are on streaming, like Netflix and Hulu and all that, they're all old shows. They're all old shows with over 100 episodes. NCIS, Suits, MASH, any and Friends, all well past 100 episodes. People like the familiarity and they like the idea they can watch a lot of different episodes. So, like Disney, I thought Disney Plus was going to do. I thought they were going to go back to the Netflix plan and do maybe 10 to 12 episodes of each Marvel series and then home release it because there's a massive fan base out here that would buy it. Still don't understand that logic. I still don't. Um, but they're running out there 6 episodes here, for Secret Invasion was only like 6 episodes. Who cares? You can sign up for that, watch it, and you're done. Off to get out of I'll watch it I'll watch it, and then I'm done with it. So it looks like streaming services are now going to be going back to what network TV has been doing all along, and that is come out with a season, 15. The networks come out with anywhere between 20 to 22 episodes. That's what they're supposed to do anyway. It seems like they're starting to streamline their own schedules. That is hurting them. That's hurting them. You can't compete with streaming. So what you need to do is just do what you guys do best, and that is produce quality scripted series. Um, and the consumers can also could do what they want, and that's tell them like, listen, we love what you're doing, but we still want something to watch at home. Um, I was funny is I read a letter I read a note that someone left a comment about the ABC about the streaming, and he says that he has signed up for Netflix, the 6.99, and that's the commercial tier. And he signed up, and he says, well, he decided he's going to rewatch Silent Hill. Well, he hit Silent Hill, but was told that that movie was not available to the lower tier. You had to be at a premium tier to be able to watch Silent Hill. Now I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I was like, wow, that's really so they really are not letting you watch, unless you pay for a higher premium. You're not going to let you watch popular movies. Wow. So 6.99 a month is not enough. So if you want to watch Silent Hill, you're going to pay like $10 to do that. Funny, with a little bit of determination, you could probably get a copy of Silent Hill probably for like $4 or $5 and watch it whatever the hell you want. Just saying. Yeah, interesting, isn't it? Well, I want to thank everybody that came out earlier today. We had a lot of fun, 3 hours of fun. We had in the house with us, Larry, the horror cat dad, and Don Zombie. Both were in the house, along with our friend and press agent guru, Stephen Chang, also was here as well. Us four held it down, and as we tried to raise a little bit of awareness, a little bit of funds for our good friend Hobbs Horror. Um, they will be on tonight on Hobbs channel at 10 o'clock sharp, and they will be talking and raising some, trying to get some more money for a good friend over there. They will be doing a fundraiser over there as well. So if you're here and you're watching this show tonight live, I will be mentioning that again as well. At 10 o'clock, Hobbs Horror, head on over there at 10 o'clock. It's going to be Mayanne, Lamonia, Demonia. I think I'm killing that name. Mr. Bones and Echo Zero and Jennifer Tochi will all be there. And it's going to be a fun stream and a lot of shenanigans. And yeah, it should be a lot of fun. And that'll be at 10 o'clock. And it's for a good cause. So that's really what's important. It's for a good cause. Uh, hell, I might have talked people out. I don't see anybody coming in today. People might have been tired of my face already. but I was on for 3 hours. I do want to thank Don and Larry and Steven for hanging out with us. We had a very energetic chat as well. Absolutely phenomenal. Thank you again so much for that as well. And yeah, so I know two times in a week for in the house. I'm digging the collaboration. I'm digging the collaborations. We last month we did 3 shows with the Friendly Men, and this month we've done 2 shows with in the house, as they are also co-hosting our watch party where we watched You Should Have Killed Me. They were there for that, and we had a lot of fun. That's in my playlist watch parties. If you have not seen it, highly recommend it. We are working on right now. We are working on finding another film for June. Watch party in June with some filmmakers. So we're working hard at that, and we're working hard on booking some people in June as well. It's a little tough out there right now. Right now, I think people are actually looking for work as far as actors go. I think they're looking for work. I don't know how much time they have to do podcasts, but definitely. And we talked to Danny Shepard earlier this week, and she mentioned it over there. It's happening over there in the UK as well. Things are really tight right now for creatives in the film industry. So if you have anybody's out there who's trying to get in, that's working in the industry, um, just say a little prayer for them. All right. Let me turn to the calendar. Let me turn to the calendar. Oh, I got to mention this too. I would definitely want to mention this. In fact, I'm going to drop it in the link, drop it in there because I want you to guys check it out. I did watch and review a movie that I want you guys to talk. What I want to talk about a little bit. So, uh, I have not heard from my mom. I have not heard from my sister. My sister said she was going to watch this movie, but I have not heard her. I have not heard back from her since then. So I'm not sure if she has yet or not. But I watched the movie, and I'm going to be trying to secure the gentleman who wrote and directed the movie, um, and that is Kay Cassis. But he wrote. Hey, Joshua. Um, but he wrote a movie called and directed a movie called The Coffee Table. And right now, I'm gonna tell you, this is the new Brightwood. This Brightwood was the movie of the year, and I think I saw Brightwood in June or July, and I said that's the movie of the year, and it turned out to be the movie of the year. I'm doing that now with the Coffee Table. It will be the movie of the year right here. There will be not another movie like this one. This will be the favorite for me. I can tell you that right now. Um, it is a powerful movie. It is a disturbing movie. It will be one that will set up and live in your head for a very long time. And I want to just bring a little attention to it. There are people out there on the tube that have reviewed this movie. Uh, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go as far as to say this for a change. Don't watch a trailer. Don't watch any reviews on that. I will put down. I don't think I did this in my review. I have to go put down. I have to go down there and do this. I want to put the link to Cinephobia releasing down there. But I definitely encourage you to buy this movie. Um, Buy this movie. Watch this movie, but be careful because it is disturbing. Of course, if you're a horror fan, that's a good thing. The word disturbing is like blood in the water for a horror fan. When you sit there and say disturbing and nightmare fuel, that will cause a lot of horror fans to run your way. Um, well, don't say I didn't warn you. So what I'm doing down in the chat, and you'll see pop up there if you're watching our replay, you'll see my review of the Coffee Table. I'm putting that up there in here. I definitely want you to go check it out. it is one for the books, that's for sure. All right. Um, Now we will go to the calendar. To the calendar we shall go. Um, all right. So, tomorrow night we are scheduled to have Rhea Gardner from the Spirits of Animals and Rescue Sanctuary. I'm not sure if that's going to go on. I might reschedule that. I might reschedule that one. I'm reaching out to Rhea now. I think I might want to reschedule that till June. So I'm not sure if we'll be here tomorrow night. Um, yeah. We were supposed to interview Camp Crush on Tuesday, but there was a family emergency they had to take care of. We are working on rescheduling the date right now, so they will be back. And depending on what day I get, hopefully we'll be joined by a special co-host, Ben from Cadaver Club, who is also a musician. And I invited him to come out and co-host this show with me because I think it would be awesome. And like I said, Ben's a musician and he does a lot of his music online. And so I said, why not bring Ben out here and hang out with Camp Crush? Terrific band, really good band. All right, the doorbell has rang. The doorbell has rang. So that means it's time to go get our guest. So please put your hands together and help me welcome in podcaster, screenwriter, and producer Beau Batterson from the great state of Iowa. And here we go. Greetings.
Hey, how are you doing?
Good, good. Uh, so obviously, my first question to you, Beau, right off the bat, I'm sure you've done plenty of interviews. I'm sure this is not the first question you will have. It's a good question. It's a good question. But tell me, how big of a Watchmen fan are you?
Oh, well, it used to be, I would say an annual read. I would say once the movie came out, it soured my taste for the product a little bit, so I haven't read it as much in the past few years. But no, I was a diehard Watchmen fan for a long time.
Um, Now, did you say it's the what soured you? The movie soured
Yeah,
you a little bit?
the Zack Snyder one. So it's Watchmen's been called like an unfilmable story. There's
Right.
just so many intricate details and there's so much going on, and every panel has thought behind it. It's meticulously planned, everything in that. And while Zack Snyder is a fantastic visual artist, I will take nothing away from that. Like, subtlety is never his strong suit. Um, and there were like three moments in Watchmen like I was so excited to see on film, and I was like, if he can stick this landing, um, then I will be all in. And without spoiling it, it was like, if he can get the surprise reveal of who Rorschach is, like that's in the comics, that's a reveal. If it's the surprise parentage of Sally Jupiter being the comedian's daughter, like that's a surprise. And then the reveal at the end that Ozymandias had, done his dastardly deed 35 minutes ago. Like if those three things could have been hit, I would have been sold. And I felt like on each platform, it was like fail, fail, fail. Like
Oh,
it's very clear who Rorschach is. It's very obvious the comedian is Sally's father. And then with that reveal, just the casting of Matthew Good as Ozymandias, he just played it very like theatrical. It just did not land for me. So I love Watchmen, and just having had those like things fail me, it just soured me on the property for a little while. But
that and actually, The Watchmen is my very favorite superhero film, and I think he did land all 3 points. He did.
fair
He
enough.
landed. Yeah, he. I thought he did a. I thought he. I love that movie. I love that movie so much. I think he did a fantastic job. I think obviously it's his best movie ever made. obviously. It's
Yeah,
that's
yeah. I would agree with that.
not even the new Superman Snyder cut
Oh,
is
yeah.
better than Watchmen. I absolutely. The reason I asked is because when I was watching, the last minute till midnight, man, I just felt that. I just felt the Alan Moore, and I'm like, boy, I love this movie so much. I love this short. I would love to see a feature film of this.
You
Um,
see, yeah, yeah.
um,
Yeah, that would be
Fantastic,
really cool someday.
beautifully written. I give nothing. I mean, it's definitely one of the best things I've seen this year.
Oh, thank
Um,
you.
oh yeah, definitely. I've been waiting to after our interview because I want to go back and review it and talk about it and go a little deeper into it. Um, again, though, all that does is just shows me over and over and over just how much talent there is in Iowa. Jesus Christ, it's like a secret.
Yeah, yeah, there's
In
still it's a lot of untapped potential here.
Very scarily so. You hear people talk about, man, I'm looking for actors. I'm looking for where can I make a good movie at? Where can I set up a production house at? Where can I do that? It's like, have you thought about Iowa?
Yeah,
But don't they have just corn out there? And it's like, oh Jesus.
yeah, yeah. I mean, there is definitely corn here. Uh,
Um, see, Michael Menard here, of film director Michael Menard here, a friend of yours,
oh
is
yeah.
just popped in here. It says, who's your favorite director, and why is it Michael James Menard? Sorry, Adam Orton. Oh,
Yeah. So yeah, well, Adam Morton and I go way back, and I've had the privilege to work with Michael Minard quite a bit over the last couple years now. He and I share the same day job, and we've collaborated on a few projects here and there.
yeah, I
I'm
noticed
excited.
that.
I'm gonna be working on his next project that he's doing an Indiegogo for. So if there's anyone out there who wants to back a project, they do have an Indiegogo running for about the next 30 days. Um,
We're going to be talking about that
oh, good. Well, I don't
very
want
same
to. I
movie.
don't want to jump the
No,
gun.
no, I'm bringing Michael and Tyler. They're going to come visit me again on the 22nd, and
Nice.
they're bringing some of the cast members of Webster County with them. So
Oh,
we can
very
talk
cool.
about that and raise awareness for it. Hopefully, get some money for the
Yeah, I
movie.
hope so. I hope it works out for them.
It was a little bit surprising. Again, it's just like a little bit of a warning bell, a little bit. When Michael came back and said that, after he came off with "You Should Have Killed Me," which was a dynamic film.
Mhm.
Obviously you worked on that film. It's won some awards. It's very, I dare say, I think it's well on its way to cult status. As far as I'm concerned, I mean,
Sure.
this is a movie. People say, "Well, I want to watch a good gangster movie."
Yeah,
Well, what? I'm tired of Guy Ritchie. Let's go watch Michael J. Menard. Let's go
yeah,
watch that. Um, I think I was a little bit surprised when he mentioned that this movie here was going to need a little bit of help. Because I'm like, okay, but it's not just him. It's everybody. This
yeah.
seems like these days.
He,
And
he's
you're
he's
starting to
brought a
see
lot
that
of
too.
he's brought a lot of people in.
Yeah,
Um,
it's
and
it's starting to get hard to. It's getting a little bit harder to find financing for films, isn't it?
yeah, for sure. Oh, I'd say one of Michael's biggest strengths. Not that he needs any compliments because he gets enough of those. He doesn't need them from me. But one of Michael's best strengths is the fact, other than the fact that obviously he's a great filmmaker, is that he's great at rallying people behind him. Like he's great at making connections. He's just a people person. Um, which
That's
is it's
wonderful.
so surprising because he gives off this like tough exterior, like very gruff, very military. But like people love him and he loves to work with people. And like he has such a wide catalog of friends who are willing to help him out on projects like this. Like I'm not surprised that every day I log into Facebook and it's like, here's another person helping us on our shoot. Here's another person helping us on our shoot. And it's always people from around the community that have, you know, great resumes. So I'm definitely looking forward to his next project.
I am too. I'm super psyched up to see who he's bringing on the 22nd, so we can meet some of the cast members.
Yeah.
Because your movie, the
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 last
last
minute till
scene till
midnight.
midnight. Yeah,
Yeah.
man, you're that cast was tight.
Yeah. Yeah. There was,
I loved your heroine.
oh yeah, they're all fantastic. It was a small crew or small cast. There's only 3 of them. All great talents that I've had the privilege to work with in the past. Jessica Denny, another uh, award-winning actress. She's works out of the Quad Cities. I think she's directing a play right now. She's just fantastic. Angela Billman was kind of our femme fatale. She was the star of Amelia 2.0. And so I've worked with her on projects for years. I worked with her for a long time at the day job. I would create promos for our CW channel, and she was kind of like the face of our CW channel. And we kind of had carte blanche to do whatever we wanted, like any crazy, silly promo I could think of. Like they were like, yeah, fine, whatever, go do that. So her and I got to do some just the funniest things you would see on the air that you'd be like, who greenlit this stupid commercial? We had like a series where if you watched the channel all day, like Angela would pop in sitting on the couch eating some snack, and like as the day progressed, each like the couch just got messier and messier. And then Scott Humison, also like a stage and screen actor, played the heavy, the villain of our story, and just very menacing and what ends up being a very strange part. Yeah, just like you couldn't ask for a better cast with those 3.
No, yeah, I was hooked. I did notice the one thing that you and Michael do have in common, and Michael was glad to share his life with us. You are a multi Emmy award winner.
I'm a multi-Emmy nominee. Emmy loser. I've been nominated and lost 3 times.
Oh, okay. I read that wrong because I thought it said 3 times on your Instagram.
Yeah, 3-time Emmy loser is what it says.
No, I don't think you're. I don't know. I would say that word is a little
Twice I lost to the Minnesota Vikings. Can you believe it?
surviving. That's probably
Yeah,
the only thing they've won anything.
Yeah, I that's the silver lining. When I told my brother and my dad are big Vikings fans, so when I told them, when I was like, oh, I lost the Vikings, but at least they finally won something.
I'm sure they loved you for that.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I thought you guys were all Barnstormer fans, or either Hawkeye or Cyclones.
Well,
But
yeah, you definitely.
I think everybody probably wants to change the name of the Cyclones now.
Yeah,
'Cause you guys got hit hard this year, didn't you?
yeah, we get hit with storms quite a bit. Yeah, we're definitely a tornado hotspot. Yeah, you definitely, everybody picks a side. Between the Hawkeyes and the Cyclones, and then everything, as far as sports teams go and NFL goes, it's just kind of like a hodgepodge of like Bears and Vikings and Packers, and then the odd Chiefs fan will sneak in.
Yeah, dastardly Chiefs. Yeah, that it's really weird. It's like up till this year, you hear about it's weird. It's like YouTube will do this, or social media in general will do this. Is before you hear about people talk about natural disasters like an earthquake or a hurricane or tornado, and you're going like, okay, because you didn't know anybody. You don't know anybody there. You have no family there. You have no friends there or anything like that. But all of a sudden now here it is. We got YouTube and other things, and all of a sudden it's like now you hear tornadoes are hitting, and all of a sudden now it's how are my friends doing?
Yeah.
How is Michael doing? How is Rob doing? Well, I know if a tornado came down to Rob Merritt's house, he'd just look at it and just don't do it, and then it would run away. Because nobody messes with Jeeves. But then you get concerned. You get concerned about people getting hurt or losing property. It's different, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely, for sure. The internet has made the world a lot smaller, so it makes it easier to connect with people from all over. Where are you out of, Patrick? I don't know, where are you at?
I'm out of southeastern Michigan.
Okay.
I'm about 20 miles away from Ann Arbor.
Okay. When I was in film school, I think like a third of my class was from Michigan.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny. Michigan's supposed to have a pretty good film community here,
Yeah.
but for the life of heaven, I have never interviewed anybody from it. I have not found anybody from Michigan here that has as a filmmaker.
Yeah.
Not one person. And
Yeah.
I'm sitting right there, and I look, and I go to I go to the little Facebook groups, and I'll sit there and say, "Yeah, we're making films in Michigan." And I'm like, "Oh, hey, who would like to talk about their film?" And all I hear is crickets.
That's
I go I
unfortunate.
go I go to Ohio, I go to Georgia, I go to Louisiana, I go to Iowa, and I just discover wonderful people.
Yeah.
So stay where you're wanted. Um, so tell us a little bit about you. Now I know that you are a podcaster.
Yeah,
So
that's a new
now
development.
but so I mean you run a Disney podcast. So I'm taking it that Disney was your first exposure to movies and entertainment, right? When you were younger?
Yeah, well, it really was like the movie that got me into movies was Who Framed Roger Rabbit, which like The Last Minute Till Midnight is like a weird noir.
Yeah.
That pairs, visual effect, like a groundbreaking, like Who Framed Roger Rabbit had groundbreaking visual effects. And so when we did our most recent film, like that's all I could think about was like, here's noir with weird with effects. But yeah, I just remember like being, I think 4 years old, and my uncle had sent me a VHS tape in the mail of this film, and I watched it, and I watched it all the way through. And at the end, there was like, after the credits, there was behind the scenes of how they did it. And I was like, oh, people make movies. They don't just exist, when you're four. Like, oh, this is like a job that people have. People can make movies. And so like ever since that was kind of like the bug that bit me. Um, but yeah, as far as like then, my appreciation of Disney, I wasn't say like a huge Disney fan growing up, um, but I married one, and then she became a certified Disney travel agent. So like she helps plan people's Disney trips and Universal trips for free. And then she went, we went on a trip and we took our kids, and that's how like I kind of fell in love with the parks. And I've always been a big fan of like the history of entertainment and the history of film. So I got into like the history of these theme parks, and everything, the history of Disney films, and the animation of, from the last 100 years or so of it. And yeah, just kind of became fascinated with the magic they're able to maintain. And I know it's easy to get cynical about Disney because that's kind of how I was when I was like an angsty teen. Like, oh, it's just an evil corporation. It's just about billions and like that. And that's true.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is true. But like, you also have to remember that like they allow all these fantastic creatives and artists, and they give them like this platform to make enduring characters and telling amazing stories that will last far beyond their life cycles. Even something like Frozen is going to be here long after you and I have passed, and long after the creators have passed. Like Frozen is going to endure. So just like it's I don't know, it's amazing, and I like the magic of these stories and filmmaking. It's yeah, I just find it fascinating.
No, you said your wife was a Disney fanatic before.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
what got you what got you to follow in her footsteps? I mean, how does she convince you to
Well,
become a Disney fan versus you convincing her Disney wasn't so great?
well, first of all, like Disney for her, Disney being great is like one of her core beliefs. Like I couldn't change that any more than I could, make her change her eye color or something. I don't know. But it was just like, um, we started living together before we were married, and then we got married, and we had our first child, and we're starting to introduce these films into her life. And it's I was like, let's go back and we'll watch the animated films in order chronologically as they were released, and you see like the progression of um progression of animation styles. And then you see that like somewhere around the 60s they stopped doing really like like the kind of more painted style that you would have seen in like Cinderella and Sleeping Beauty, and it gets into this, kind of like Xerox style. It gets a little messy when you get into like 101 Dalmatians and Jungle Book, and it's like, why is that? And then you go into research and you're like, okay, well, the costs were going up and they needed to save money, and it was easier for them to literally use a copy machine, so that's why it gets a little messy. And then you keep watching the progression, and then we get into like the 80s, and in the late 80s, early 90s, and they start integrating CG a little bit, and you're like, okay, let me do some research on that. We see certain shots in Little Mermaid and Aladdin.
I was actually thinking for some of the live action films too, because that was where I cut my teeth on Disney. It wasn't so much the cartoons; it was the live action movies.
For sure. Like I remember, well, for me, like the live action Disney films were never ones that I think were like the mainstream ones, like the real popular ones. Like as much as I love like Mighty Ducks, I think my favorite Disney live action movie is probably Flight of the Navigator, which is a little bit of a deep cut. It's from the early 80s. I just rewatched it. It holds up. So
I was watching the Kurt Russell movies.
Oh
I
yeah,
grew up watching Dexter.
Strongest Man in the World, and the Computer Who Wore Tennis Shoes. Yeah.
I mean, it was those what was it? The Kicky Mule was Gus with Jan Michael Vincent. Yeah. I mean, I was watching those movies growing up, and then I got, then I saw Bambi and whatnot, but I saw live action Disney before I saw anything else.
Yeah, those for me were always like Saturday morning ACs. I think after they were done playing cartoons, they would show things like the Apple Dumpling Gang or $1 Million Duck.
Apple Dumpling Gang rides again.
Yep.
Tim Conway and Don Knotts. I mean, you can't go wrong with that.
Yeah.
It's funny because I just got done watching a movie. It was called Bernie the Dolphin. Kids film, family film, right?
Yeah.
So I go ahead and I turn it over to read a little bit about the synopsis, and there's something I have not seen in front of a Disney movie, and I can't remember when. In fact, I can tell you the last time that I think this happened was the North Avenue Irregulars, and that was a rated G Disney release.
Yeah.
I think the North Avenue Irregulars was the last live action film that Disney had that was rated G.
Yeah.
Everything else went to PG.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Do you remember the first movie they did that went to PG-13 and it was caused a hullabaloo over it?
Was it Temple of Doom?
No. It was The Black Hole.
Oh yeah, the space movie.
Yeah. PG-13. It was or maybe it was just PG, but it was. I remember when it came out. I mean, it was major news.
Yeah.
That Disney is releasing a PG-13, not a PG-13, a rated PG movie. It was like, wow, what's going on with Disney?
Yeah.
And then it just after that, then they just did that pivot. And they said, well, we're known for all of our family films, all of our animation, all of our cartoons, but now we're going into adult fare.
Yeah.
And then they started Touchstone.
Yeah.
Looking back at it, looking back at it, I think it's sort of. Do you feel like that changed? Sort of. Do you think Disney grew up with that decision? As a corporation, they took a big boy pill and said, okay, we're now going to be doing more action oriented movies. And, next thing you know, we're starting to see, I remember seeing Escape from New York for the first time. And I saw Kurt Russell. And that was actually the first time I had seen Kurt Russell since he'd done Disney movies.
Yeah.
And here he is coming in there talking like a sailor. He's smoking. He's got, and I'm just like, well, who's that?
Yeah.
He's like, who's that? The first time in The Black Hole where Ernest Borgnine tried to get away, and he was running, he's being a coward. He ran in the spaceship and it blew himself up.
Yep.
And at that time, it was like Ernest Borgnine that's the guy in McHale's Navy. The
Mhm.
next thing you know, we're seeing all these guys coming out in all these Disney movies that the only time we have ever seen them before, they have been just super family friendly.
Mhm.
Um, what did you think? What was the first Disney movie that you saw that wasn't an animated cartoon that had you what was that I watched?
Yeah, I don't know. Black Hole was one of those came in an era where everyone was trying to make Star Wars, like they want to make the next Star Wars. Um, Thinking that all you need to do is like put it in space and put money behind it. So that's kind of where Black Hole came from. So they were chasing that Star Wars money.
But they
Um,
had the '70s ethic, though. They had the '70s vibe, and
yes.
that is in the '70s, everybody dies. If you made a movie in the '70s, you're gonna die. There was no happy ending in the '70s, and
Yeah.
people forget about that about the Black Hole. Is that did not have a Disney ending, did it?
Yeah. That the 70s, it's your Taxi Driver era. Um, the 70s was very grim and gritty. Uh, yeah, but like the first time I saw Disney, I don't know, because they get into a weird era in like the Michael Eisner era of like the kind of 90s where they start, if they want to take a chance, then they can pivot it into like a different brand. Something like if they had you know Touchstone or Dimension, that's where they could put their maybe more adult fare, and like secretly it's a Disney movie, but like they're allowed to make those decisions because they can put it under a different banner. Yeah, I don't know. Anytime when I would have thought like been shocked about something that was going to be in a Disney movie. I mean, like I said, the first Disney movie I fell in love with was Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and there are some
Right.
people, my wife included, who are terrified of that movie.
Yeah.
At the end, when
Very
Christopher Lloyd
creepy.
reveals himself to be a tune, like that's a traumatic moment for a lot of people.
It definitely is. And it had a Disney ending, a happy ending, but still, you're right. When Judge Doom turns out to be a tune, and the way he goes, basically the melting aspect of it, like the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was different. Um, I think up to that point where they started doing more adult fare, I think Disneyland. And tell me what you feel about this, Bo, but Disney, when you thought about Disneyland and up to the maybe the late '70s, you always thought about it was just 100% kids.
hmm
Like parents and their kids. Like if you go to
yeah,
Disneyland, you're gonna see families of just kids.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, well, I mean, when Disneyland was created, the idea was to be a place where families could do things together. It wasn't going to be a thing where kids would go ride and then the parents would sit on a bench. It was supposed to be something to where they could all do it together. As the park has evolved, they've brought in more things for, all ages. And, as the company's grown, they've bought more IP. So like they purchased Star Wars, they purchased the Muppets, they purchased Marvel. So there's definitely things for more ages there. Now there's definitely thrill rides. There's definitely rides that like, my we took our kids recently down to uh Disney World in Orlando, and like there's a lot of stuff my 4-year-old didn't hit the height requirement on because it was too intense. So
yeah, that was my point. Was like back in the '70s, back when I was, like when I was first going to Disney World. um, it was all oriented toward families, and
yeah,
before, it wasn't seen as cool to anybody like 15 to the
yeah,
30s. It wasn't seen as cool, unless you
yeah.
had kids.
Well, I
But
would I would imagine what probably happened was, so in the late 80s or so, Universal decided they were gonna open a park in Florida. So, and it was going to be Universal Studios Florida, and it was going to be a theme park, but we were also going to like shoot movies and TV shows there. So it was like a working studio that plus theme park. And then Disney kind of rushed in because they didn't want to get beat. Orlando's their territory at that point. So they created a new park with a very similar theme, which at the time was Disney MGM Studios. Now it's Disney Hollywood Studios. And then they were going to have a competing park. And Universal is, to this day, Universal is still kind of known as like the thrill ride park. Like I don't, when my wife plans people's travels, if like you don't have a kid, if you have kids under 10, she was like, don't go to Universal. There's too many intense rides. There's nothing for them to do there, really.
Now, is Universal, is that what they call Magic Mountain now? Is that the Universal take over Magic Mountain?
No, so in Disney World, there's 4 parks that's considered Disney World. So there's Magic Kingdom. That's where you have the castle. That's going to be a lot of fantasy and princesses and stuff like that. Then they have Animal Kingdom, where you can like see live animals. Epcot is you tour around the world, and there's a lot of like, presentations. It's a little educational. Sometimes Epcot's a little edutainment. And then there's the Hollywood Studios, which is where you'll find Star Wars and the Muppets. And it's kind of like a love letter to that 1920s, 1940s old Hollywood. But then over at Universal Studios, the competing park, that's where you get more intense rides, and they have like Harry Potter's there.
Right.
So yeah, that's what's going on there.
How does Universal compete? Does Universal hold its own against Disney World, or is it always it does?
Well, so again, typically they're kind of taking a different audience by going after the kind of more thrill seekers. There are still stuff for them to do with kids. In fact, they're just opening this new place called DreamWorks Land as part of one of their parks that's going to be more kid focused. But the big news with Universal is next year they're opening what's called Epic Universe. It's a new park for them, and it's everything out of there looks awesome. There's this part that's like for How Do You Train Your Dragon, that's going to have great rides and great shows. There's the Dark Universe that I'm pumped about, that's going to be all like Dracula, Wolfman, Frankenstein, like that. That's going to have.
They didn't give up on that. They didn't.
No. Yeah, they're leaning into their history on that one. There's gonna be Nintendo World. There's another. They're doing more Harry Potter there, and then they've got like their own thing called Celestial Park. So yeah, when Epic Universe opens up in 2025, that's going to be huge for them.
And how has been the political climate? How has it affected the parks? I mean, are the parks still money makers for Disney and Universal? Are they considered major money makers considering the costs of running those places?
Yeah, because they'll nickel and dime you any way they can. Like they're charging for anything.
No doubt about that, right? Yeah. I mean, it costs more to go inside Disney World than it would be if you took your family of 4. I think a family of 4 could go to a pro baseball game, a pro football game, a pro basketball game, and maybe a pro hockey game versus one time into Disney World. It's expensive.
For sure it is.
Does it run almost like for the hotel included? Doesn't it run almost $1,000 a day?
Oh yeah, at least. I mean, you're probably spending $100 to $200 just eating a day.
Yeah.
But yeah, but you don't think about it when you're doing it because you're swept up in the magic. Like that's the thing. That's how they get you. And I'm sure there's some people with their cold dead hearts who, won't get swept up in the magic, and they'll just be thinking about, their wallets the whole time. But like, I am a notoriously cheap person, and I hate spending money on myself. Like the only way I can spend money on myself is I can justify it in some way that it's like maybe for my kids. Like, if like I have a lot of Lego sets, but that's because it's something my daughter and I do together. Like I could never do that on my own. But like, when I'm at Disney and like we're doing like a family thing, it's just like throwing money around because it's the magic.
Now you mentioned your wife is also a planner, yes, and you also run a podcast. Does that enable you do you get free passes to Disney because you are ambassadors for the company?
No, that's the dream. I think I don't think we get enough downloads yet to be like on their radar. The only like perk we get is, some stuff's a tax write-off. And then every once in a while, because she's a certified travel agent, she gets invited to things. Nothing's ever free, but like she might get a discounted rate at something. I think one of the first times we went in a long time to Universal, they asked her to come down and take a tour of some hotels down there, and then we were able to go over to the parks. But yeah,
Well,
I wish they cut me.
if you're inviting me, that means you're paying for me to go. You want me to come, you go, pony up pony up that ticket.
Yeah, I think we did. I think we got a ticket and a half. That's about it.
So talk to us a little bit about your podcast, Big Thunder. Where did it come from? Talk to us how you put it together. What are some of the topics you guys talk about?
Sure.
So hype up Big Thunder.
Sure. Yeah. So it's the Big Thunder podcast. You can get it wherever you get your podcasts. It's on YouTube as well. If you don't do like the Apple Podcasts or Spotify or anything like that. And we are on Instagram at Big Thunder Pod. So the name Big Thunder podcast comes from my favorite ride at the Magic Kingdom, which is Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. Super fun roller coaster. I'd been wanting to get into like podcasting for a while. There was a time probably when Last Minute to Midnight was in post. I was just a little burned out on film, so I was like, I want to, just because they're long processes, and it's they can take a lot of time from like the birth of an idea until when it finally comes out, and then it's like raising money and it's promoting and stuff. So I was a little burned out. So I was thinking about things that I could do like on my own in my office. And that's how I was like, I can, if I could do a podcast, if I could ever come up with an idea that I could talk about weekly. And then, so that was like kind of on the back burner for a while. And then my wife started doing the travel agency thing. And then I was like, I could definitely talk about Disney weekly. But like, what kind of show could we do from Iowa? Because there are, dozens, if not hundreds of Disney podcasts out there. And a lot of them are also from travel agents who go to the parks on a regular basis. Like they live in Orlando. So like, how do we compete from Iowa? So kind of what we do is we like the first, third of the show is kind of like your week, like top stories of the week out of Disney and Universal, like your news kind of stuff. So like, on the next show, we'll talk about Tiana's Bayou Adventures opening. Like they've released like the opening date there in June. That's like how they rethemed Splash Mountain recently. That finally has an opening date. We'll probably get some news about Halloween Horror Nights soon. That's out of Universal. We'll talk about that. So like that'll be like the first portion of it is like news. And then the next half of it is we play usually a kind of like a stupid game that I've made up. They're fun, but they're dumb.
People love that.
Yeah, I think so. I think they're enjoyable to listen to, but they're usually dumb games. Our last one we had was a game called Devil's Advocate, where we had a mug with a bunch of Disney villains' names in it. I would draw a name out and I'd be like, okay, Cruella de Vil, do you have to justify the actions of Cruella de Vil? Tell me why it's so, like, you're the attorney for the defense. Tell me why it's okay for Cruella de Vil to want to skin those dogs.
Okay, I'm glad you brought that up. You have just you know what? We don't script this show at all, but we don't. But I'm so glad you brought that up, because that brings me up to something that has been stuck in my craw for a while. What is up with Disney reimagining their villains? They made that movie Cruella with Emma Stone.
Yep.
What is up with that?
Yeah,
I'm just sitting there going like, you are not going to turn around and make her an anti-hero. Yeah. We don't want an anti-hero. We love Cruella de Vil for what she was.
It's like in Maleficent is another one that they did that. It's like they want to make these movies about villains, but then they get afraid to make them villainous.
Right.
yeah, I don't know. My oldest daughter loves Cruella, so I don't want to talk too negatively about it. But yeah, that one's not for me.
It's all right. Let me pick that up for you. You know, it's a good host, but man, it was irritating to hear about that. It
Yeah,
was absolutely irritating because I mean, watching 101 Dalmatians, an animated movie, and seeing her run around and just being just Cruella,
yeah,
man, it was, it was exciting to watch. There was danger there. You're waiting for them to get their comeuppance. Like she was gonna get it. It
yeah,
was so much more exciting.
yeah,
Disney, love Disney or not, but there's something they do very, very well, and they've gotten away from it, and that is they create some. Not only do they create some great villains, but they're not afraid to kill their asses either. Like you killed a lot. You killed Mustafa. Oh, we
yeah,
got something for you, Scar. We got and then Ed. you know, and then they show. Most of the time the characters are always they're always sent to hell because by the fire imagery. A
yeah,
lot of fire imagery is like it's really sort of really sort of religious in that sense. It's like you do something dastardly, you're going to go to hell and burn for it.
yeah,
And not a really subtle message as you get older, but as a kid, you're sitting there watching it and you're going like, "Wow, he bought the farm."
yeah,
Um, but then all of a sudden, now they're redoing all these movies, and now they're like, okay, well, they're not such bad people. They're just misguided, and
yeah,
maybe you can come around and make them somewhat friends at the end of the movie. It's like I don't want friends.
yeah,
I want fire. Put some
yeah. The
fire. Put some
uh,
fire on that wall.
yeah, the most recent animated Disney movie, Wish, is like their first one to have like a villain in quite a while, and he doesn't die at the end. So again, spoilers for that movie that's several months old and is now on Disney Plus. He doesn't die at the end, but he does. He gets what's coming to him.
Hmm.
But yeah, but again, it was several years since we had like a true Disney villain.
Yeah, I miss that. During everybody's everything and the diversity aspect of it. Do you think Disney's just trying to please everybody at once? They just a broad sweep, and it's like it's okay to be yourself. It's you don't need to reimagine some of your characters as as minorities. We're gonna make Cinderella. We're gonna make her into a Mexican girl. There's no reason to do that. Disney has so many creatives there that they can create their own heroine. Like Mulan. Mulan is awesome. And it's like that's just proof positive that Disney can do this. And they don't have to go ahead and we're gonna make Ariel into I don't know what Ariel is now. I know that in the cartoon, she comes across as being a Caucasian girl. Okay, so what? You can still do another mermaid movie with a different character, and
Right.
and,
Well, I
and,
mean, if
and
um you get the best person for the role,
sure,
and I think Halle, it's not Halle Berry, Halle Bailey. I think that's it. Like,
yeah,
I think she did a great job. She's a fantastic singer. I didn't think anything less of that movie because she wasn't white. And I like the way that they built it into more of a Caribbean setting. If you watch the film, it takes place in more of a multicultural area of the islands. I don't know. I didn't think it. I didn't hurt my feelings any that
it didn't hurt
you
my
know
feelings either. As far as
Ariel
hurt my
wasn't a
feelings,
ginger.
I'm just thinking to myself, going like, it's the same thing with a lot of superhero movies too. They're changing established what do they call IPs. They're
Sure.
taking established characters and they're twisting them to fit a narrative. And it's like, why do you have to twist it? Why don't you just create it? That's what Disney. What was it? The Mouth of Ideas.
Well, I
Was it,
mean, like
the house?
Asha, the main character in Wish, like that's a new character who is of
Awesome.
color.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. I've always been of the strong opinion that like if a character change of like hair color or skin color breaks the character, then that's not a good character. Like, as long as the core essence of that character is still there. If you take a character, you know, like Ariel, her, like, as long as her optimism's still there, her still drive to want to like break free from her oppressive society under the sea, like get up to the land where they walk, like if that's still there, like that's what the character is to me.
What kind of feedback do you hear from Disney fans? I mean, they contact you through Big Thunder or this to Big Thunder. What kind of response do you get? Do you get responses like the one I'm giving you now, or do you get people that are
nobody listens to my show yet? Nobody listens to my show yet, Patrick. That's why I need your fans to tune in.
Oh, they will. Believe me, I can already tell you. I have a Disney fanatic who's actually probably watching or listening to this right now. And to Katie, Katie is a Disney fanatic. Shout out to Katie. And she'll be listening to your podcast and probably be talking to you because she does interviews as well. I'm sure she'll be having you on her show soon enough.
I would love that. I don't know. It's honestly, it's a vocal minority of the people who really are upset about it. Like kids don't care.
No,
my daughters don't care about like changes like that.
I would believe that too, but you know what? Unfortunately, though, I do hear a fair share of kids, especially once they hit the teens, that do suddenly start to care. Because they watch these movies as kids, they identify with what they watched as kids, and then when they grow up, all of a sudden they see that these people they have been changed to fit a narrative, and they sort of revolt against it, which is why you see a lot of backlash.
What's really that narrative, though? Is it just that like we've seen that there are more people in the world, and we want to like show that there aren't just one section of people?
Nothing wrong with that. I mean, more power to if any. But like I said, it's all about the creative. It's like if you can create Ariel, you can create Ramona. You don't need to sit there and say this is Ariel, but now 25 years later we're flipping her and turning into a Ramona. It's like, why do you have to flip the character? Why can't you just create another one so they can be side by side? They're equal. Instead of changing one, why suppress one? Because basically that's what you're doing. When you turn around and you change a character, what you're doing, you're suppressing the character that came before it. You're basically telling everybody that character doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't matter. It's not on the table.
I don't really agree with that one.
I think it's the reason why Disney's having a hard time, don't you think? As far as their, some of the, the backlash coming against them, because you believe me, 20 years ago, if Ron DeSantis had tried to do what he had done and went to war on Disney 25 years ago, he would have never made it. His ass would have been voted out. His ass would have went out in the bucket. But the fact of the matter is that there are people after actually responding to what he was saying, that they were not automatically pro Disney like it used to be. Like Disney was wholesome and families and kids.
Well, which families?
All families.
Okay, but
all the families
all Disney's doing now is trying to chill.
All the families that can afford to go, I should say.
Okay, well, all Disney's doing now is just telling stories for more like families that don't look like Ron DeSantis's family. So,
and I'm down with that. I'm totally. I that's what I want to see, but not at the expense of the people that were there before it. I don't want to see. I don't think anybody else does too. I don't think it's right to sit there and say I want to show diversity, but at the cost of squashing.
I don't think it's not though. Like that Ariel from the live action is the same that's animated. She just looks a different color. She's also, not a cartoon. Like she's gonna look different anyways. It's the core of her character is the same. So as long as the core of their character is the same, that's what's important. If the core character had changed, that'd be a different story. As far as like Disney's financial woes that they've been in, also, you still have old Ariel still exists. They're still making merch off old Ginger Ariel. She's still in the park. She still has a ride. She's still, dolls and whatnot. Like Disney's financial problems financially, as far as the box office is concerned, has been a quality of movies that haven't been good. Indiana Jones wasn't great. The last couple Marvel movies weren't great. They had a tough time this year.
Yeah, they did. Has it been the toughest year as far as being a Disney fan in terms of movies and TV? Has this, like, I was just commenting before you came on, I was reading the about the ABC, owned by Disney, and I
Yep.
saw the fall lineup. I've seen better lineups, and I've seen better lineups than a little league team.
Yeah.
It's absolutely horrible. It's just like it's like you look at it and you're going like, what has happened to Disney's creativity?
Yeah.
Where did they
Well,
go?
it's a problem throughout the entire entertainment industry. And it's like everybody is desperate to make a movie that makes $1 billion. Everybody wants to make Avatar. Everybody wants to make Avengers. So rather than, taking your $1 billion, or, let's say, rather than having your 200 million, $300 million and making, 20 to 30, $10 million movies that would do well, they put all their eggs in their baskets and everybody makes a giant tentpole movie. And then they put it out. And then the people going to the movies, which costs more money than ever, like you're fighting for those few people to go to your $1 billion, your $100 million movie, and then they don't, and then it bombs, and then you're in a financial crisis. And that's not just Disney. That's Sony, that's Warner Brothers, that's Universal. They're all trying to make the next $1 billion movie rather than making a smaller project. That's
Disney and I think probably Universal. They're probably the only two studios left that are making any money at all. I mean, they're probably the only two left. I mean, Paramount and Warner Brother Discovery. I think they're wobbly.
Yeah.
And the way that the linear TV is now. We're all talking about how physical media is in danger of disappearing, and we're going to get to that too. Great discussion, by the way. Damn, I'm glad you're here. This is awesome.
Anytime. I enjoy talking. So
I enjoy talking Disney because I don't get a chance to really do that. So this is very exciting for me. My inner Disney comes out. People don't know this, but I'm a Disney guy. I mean, I like Disney movies. I got I got a ton of Disney stuff. So chance to talk a little bit. But do you feel? I mean, like linear. I was talking about how physical media seems to be going on the way out, and now and right behind it is linear TV, network TV as we know it. People are sitting there saying maybe as little as 10 years.
I would believe that. Sure. Yeah. And that's coming from a guy who works at a local news station. So I understand people's viewing habits are changing. Consumption is changing. Physical media is going to be like the way people collect vinyl now. It's going to be like a niche audience. You can't even buy Blu-rays at Target anymore.
No. Let me go to the chat real quick because Steven asked me a question. He says, let's see. He wants to know about if you can find your podcast. So, Steven, I am dropping the link to Big Thunder right here. So, if you want to take a look at Big Thunder, there you go. It's on Spotify. Feel free to follow them on Spotify. Follow Beau on Spotify.
Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Acast player. You can find it on my website, beaubatterson.com. Like it's pretty much everywhere. YouTube, it's youtube.com/@BigThunderPod.
Okay. YouTube at Big Thunder Pod. I have to throw that in the description box, and we'll do that. And I'll put that out there as well. I mean, as far as the company still making money and what have you, I'm with you about the breaking down of instead of doing that one $300 million movie, make 30 $10 million movies. I do think it's a smart. I think it's a smart play. And you got Disney Plus, you got the streaming services and what have you. I just feel like it's almost like people have, it used to be Disney was sort of like bulletproof, it's like whatever Disney used to do was fine. It's like, maybe movie didn't come out there and knock it out of the park.
Yeah.
Okay, so what? But it's still family entertainment.
Yeah.
It's family movies, and we don't. And who else is putting those movies out other than Disney?
Yeah. Well, you've got, I
But
mean, like DreamWorks and Illumination, that are putting out family content as well. A lot of what happened with Disney in the last couple of years is they had a different CEO. His
mm,
name is Bob Chapek, and
yeah,
he went all in on Disney Plus. So like Disney Plus was the priority. It was more important than movies. It's more important than the box office, more important than the parks. Like Disney Plus was a priority. So he took like Marvel and Star Wars, and he was like, you guys are now, you're not doing big budget movie stuff. Like that's fine if you do, but like your priority is Disney. Like, oh, you don't have time. You don't have time to focus on movies. Well, too bad. We need you to make movies. You guys are content farms now. So that's why some of the stuff that came out of Lucasfilm and out of Marvel that went to Disney Plus, wasn't maybe the quality that people would have expected. Like why Marvel and Star Wars' brand may have taken like a little bit of a tarnish lately is because like they were, forced to just put out content quickly to appease those, get those Disney Plus subscribers. One of the but now Bob Chapek's gone. Now Bob Iger is a former CEO. He's back. He's not a great guy. He's not bulletproof. Let's put it that way.
yeah,
He is a billionaire. You
yeah.
can't trust him.
No,
But like
no,
one of
I
the
know.
things I do agree with is that he took a look at Marvel and Star Wars and was like, these brands need to be a priority. These need to be theatrical properties, and we need to stop pushing quantity over quality. So that's why this year the only Marvel movie you're getting is Deadpool and Wolverine. You're not getting 3 movies plus 3 TV shows.
Yeah, that's gonna be that's probably the most interesting movie of the whole summer, to tell you the truth.
Oh yeah, that's either
I
going to be, yeah. That there's a lot riding on that one.
There's a lot riding on that, and honestly, I'm a comic book guy. I grew up collecting comic books. I'm a huge. I could talk comic book all day, but I think that unfortunately, I think Deadpool blew his chance to ever getting incorporated. I don't think having Logan in there is going to help it at all. I think to do Deadpool movies or the 3 Deadpool or the whatever there was 2 or 3, I think it just destroyed it. Any credibility you can't put Deadpool inside the MCU. You won't
We'll
be able,
see. We'll
you won't,
see.
it won't
I
happen.
call me cautiously optimistic.
It's just too much damage done. Too much fun, too much poking fun, too much fourth wall, too much literally calling out the people it's like this. It's like I watched okay, I watched Shrek 2.
Yeah.
And Shrek 2 is an awesome movie. And there's Antonio Banderas. He plays Puss in Boots, right?
Mhm.
Awesome role, funny as hell. The
Yep.
part where he's sitting there and it's like, like with his big cat eyes and had me crying. Every time I see that scene, I am dead.
Yeah.
But every time I hear Antonio Banderas now, all I hear is him as being Puss in Boots, and that's
Okay.
not good. It's not good because I'm sitting there trying to watch a serious movie with him, and it's just this accent. But yet every time I hear him talk, it's Puss in Boots, and so it's like that's how I feel it's going to be with Ryan Reynolds with this Deadpool. Every time he speaks, he's going to be Deadpool and fourth wall in it. Like too bad you guys couldn't afford more X-Men, or maybe the studio couldn't afford. It was just too many wisecracks.
I have a feeling if they bring him in for like an Avengers movie, he'll rein that in. I don't think there'll be much of that in those. It's all about like the universe they create in that picture. Like I have a feeling you don't need to worry too much.
And our friend Andre just said something here too, and this is something I want to know kind of what kind of feedback you've been hearing. He says what really sucks is they closed all the DVD stores. They used to have great classic movies. Only once in a while, I see a great film. And the other thing I want to talk to you about too, and I had high hopes for Bob Iger coming in because you're right. The former CEO he put all the eggs into the Disney Plus,
Mhm.
and he buried the physical media.
Mhm.
I thought when and that he left millions of dollars out in the wild. He left
Yeah.
millions.
Yeah.
Um, I had thought and I had hoped that when Bob Iger came back, that he would look around and say, yeah, we're not doing that anymore. We're putting physical media out because that's part of our core business. People
Yeah.
still want to buy it. Just because you tell people with it, but people aren't buying it. Believe me, if you put it out there and you're the only game in town, like if Disney turn around and sit there and say, "Well, hell, nobody else is doing it," well, we're gonna do it.
Yeah.
We're gonna put it out there because guess what? Now you have an empty playing field. There ain't no one else gearing up to do what Disney can do. Disney
Yeah.
is still Disney's still king of the mountain. I mean, it
Yeah.
really is
It's
in
just
all aspects.
so. I mean, I'm sure Iger just crunched numbers and was like, how much are we making honestly versus how much we are really, how much it costs to produce it and how much it costs to market it. Um, it's just the problem is it's as much as it hurts me to say as a person who like loved video stores and I used to work at a video store, like I love physical media, but like how often do I buy a Blu-ray or a DVD? Not very often. It's just the way streaming has taken over. It's pushing people's viewing habits. It's
Um,
changing the way people view movies. I don't like it, but it's like, you either embrace it or get left behind. I don't
I,
like it. I want
I,
that let the
I think
record
you can
show I
have
don't
both.
like it.
No, I think because to me it's like like Disney, they turned around and they sit there and they said they're no longer going to be doing physical media sales in New Zealand and Australia. Man, I'm just really surprised at that because as far as the marketing goes, believe me, it's cheaper to market today than it was 20 years ago. And
Yeah,
anybody,
it's
just
cheaper
like
to
marketing a
market it, but
movie.
it's harder to get seen. That's the problem. And that's like filmmaking. Like filmmaking's cheaper to make now, but it's harder to break through the noise because everyone can do it. Like it's
Yeah,
yes, it's cheaper
exactly.
to market. It's harder to get people's attentions. And people have
Yeah,
shorter attention spans now than they did 10 years ago. And it's way different. Attention spans are shorter than they were 20 years ago.
ain't that
Uh,
the truth?
yeah, it's
Ain't that the
it's
truth? No,
so I teach a social media for business class, and like the first year I taught it was like people have a 10-second attention span. It's like, wow, I can't believe that. I'm teaching. I found that out, and I'm teaching my students. And then next semester rolls around, I'm like, all right, I need to like update my facts. I'm going to do more research. What's people's attention span this year? Oh, studies show it's 7 seconds. And just like every year it gets shorter and shorter.
yeah,
Um, so
yeah.
yeah, it's just
It's funny. It's like I advertise this show,
mhm.
right? So like before, like this when you advertise Big Thunder. What do you do to advertise your podcast? Tell us what do you do to let the people know that your podcast is on, and
Sure.
what are you doing to to get out there to break through all the other Disney podcasts? What do you have to do in order to do that?
That's a great question. So, like with Big Thunder, so we kind of did like maybe like a soft launch because I wasn't really sure like what the format was going to be, and I'm still trying things out. So I haven't really gone like hardcore into promotion. So really, what I'm doing is I started the Instagram. I have my own personal TikTok, and what I'll do is we put out our shows, and record video with it that goes with it. So I'll take a section of it that I think is particularly interesting, and then I'll cut that into like a reel or a YouTube short. Um, the YouTube shorts is has done the best for me, especially because that keeps people on the platform of YouTube. Like like if my short, I just had one that went relatively viral for me with 7,000 views. And that particular one is able to push people to the YouTube channel where they can see the full podcast. Um, but yeah, it's so hard. I
Well,
think once I'm officially going into marketing mode, which will be relatively soon, is I'm going to try and do things like called trailer swaps, where like I'll maybe make a trailer for my show and send it to another podcast. They'll send me their trailer, and then we'll play those trailers on our show. Trying to do as many interviews as possible. I'll probably buy a Spotify ad at some point. Um, but yeah, it's hard. It's hard to break through. It's hard to break through the noise.
it is. My when I do this show here, um, I do the promotion for the show.
Mhm.
You and I, we've had this show on the books for 2 weeks. I promote the day of the show.
Yeah.
If I try to, if I try to get out there and go out there and push this out to the different groups that I'm in, you're right. I mean, by the next day, I mean, let's look at it now. So I pushed this out to close to maybe 30 groups, and plus I was online earlier today, and I did a live stream earlier today, and I had between 11 and 13 people in here, and I said, hey, I'm back here tonight. Come back, hang out with us. Blah blah blah. Here it is. I'm looking at it now. There's 4 people watching, and it doesn't relate to you. It's not has no reflection.
It relates a little bit.
No, 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 not at all. There's no relation to you or me.
If Michael James Minard was on here, you'd have more people watching.
Who?
Michael Minard.
You know what? We might have a few because he's more well known as far as that goes.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is, so it's the mentality. It's the it's the it's the do people remember that the fact that we're doing this show? We do the show 3 times a week. It's like it's there. Come on in. But but you're right. The attention span is not there. It's not. It's like there's almost like no muscle memory.
Yeah.
It's like you have to be told over and over and over, hey, Big Thunder's on, Big Thunder's on, Big Thunder's on.
Yeah.
It's like, before it'd be like you watch a TV show, your favorite TV show. Oh, everybody knew when your favorite TV show was on back in the day. Oh yeah, Wonderful World of Disney coming on Sunday at 7 p.m. on NBC.
Yep.
There,
Yeah, destination television, which
right.
doesn't
But
exist
now you task somebody like, what are you gonna watch? Oh, what are you gonna watch on Sunday? I don't know.
Yeah.
They don't really know. They don't have any memory for it.
Yeah.
Do you think that's going to be permanent, or do you think is there any way possible do you think it's possible? How as entertainers, in your opinion, how do you think these companies are going to be able to retain because I was talking a little bit about consumer churning, customer churning. I was talking a little bit about that. And and the networks are, the streamers are finding out that people, their attention spans are so they're so short.
Yeah.
That they'll come in, they'll watch one little thing that you're pushing, like the niche little 6 episodes, and then they're bailing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, a disgusting term that they're also using is called, it's something like second screen entertainment. Places like Netflix want shows that you can listen to while you're looking at your phone. So like the show that they're producing isn't actually the show that has your attention. It's something you have on in the background as you're looking at your phone. I don't know. It's tough. I don't know how we're going to pivot. I know things like Disney and HBO are doing things with their streaming services where like if you want a certain show, it comes on. Like it first drops at like 8 p.m. on a Friday or a Wednesday or whatever. And then it's whenever you want it after that. But like they are making it so the people who want to see it is still destination for them. Like there is a certain level of anticipation rather than the way it was, like say when Disney Plus first launched, where if you wanted to see the first episode of WandaVision or something, it uploads at 2 a.m. So it's right there for you when you wake up. But now they're making it where it is more destination. Yeah, I don't know. It's just it's the downfall of technology and it's just one of the many downfalls of society we're heading towards.
Yeah. So as far as it's really interesting you mentioned that because here we are. Let's talk a little bit real quick about your tremendous short film. The Last Minute Till Midnight. Tell us a little bit about that. Was that Ella Moore influenced, or was that just me seeing that? I mean, how did you come up with the idea of that?
I mean, like in this spinner rack that's behind me is a copy of Watchmen, so I'm sure it was back there in my subconscious. No, well, it just kind of started with so Adam Morton is the director, and he and I have been working together for probably 15 years. He and I met. I was fresh out of film school. He was I got a job at a different local news station where I work now. He was working there before he went off to school, the film school. So I've been working with him forever. He's the reason I stopped directing because I was like, oh, this guy's really good. I would rather just write and have him direct it so it can be great, as opposed to me directing it and it being fine. So yeah. But we've been close friends forever. Our wives are close friends, so we took like a trip to Des Moines. And we went to our Des Moines theme park, the Disneyland of Iowa, which is Adventureland. And we're kind of spitballing ideas on what we wanted to do. And like, I have wanted to write a noir forever because I just love the dialogue so much in a noir. That like hard-boiled style. It's just so much fun to write. It's my favorite thing to write. And then he at the time was doing, so he directed Amelia 2.0, which was Rob's film. And then he was also like doing the majority of the post-production on that movie as well. So he was doing posts, and he's like, I kind of want to keep playing around with posts. And, I thought it'd be really interesting to shoot something all on a green screen. What should we do? And I was like, well, what if we do a noir? What if we do something like, Sin City, like a noir on a green screen? So then after that, I just was kind of like pitched him. I was like, okay, here's film noir 101. Here's all the things that you would see in a typical 1940s, 1950s film noir, you've with your your femme fatale, and there's a certain level of corruption. It's always a disgusting city. You've got somebody trying to uncover the truth. So, of whether it's a journalist or a detective, it always leads to something bigger. It's something small that ends up big. And then he was like, okay, I got it. What about this? And then he kind of gave me like the outline of what he thought would be cool. And then I went off and I wrote it. And it was pretty, pretty solid. I think by the third draft, we had something that we wanted to do. And then we shot it in 2016, right before the 2016 election. We all thought it was.
That's an 8-year-old movie.
Yeah, it's a process. So as I said, we shot it all on green screen. And nobody's doing this full time. We all have day jobs. So for 4 years, it's in post. It's Adam doing most of it, me doing some of the post, and then we had a third person helping us. Really,
is that where you got your T-shirt from the
Fix It Pre? There's a story behind that shirt. It's not far off. But yeah, so it was in post for a long time, and then in 2020, with various, after a certain, without getting into too much, the world in 2020 was weird. It was not the world that was in 2016 when we first wrote it, when we first shot the film. And it's like, okay, well, a lot of the themes in this film suddenly are much more at the precipice of people's thoughts. It's like much more, it's, what is the role of media in government? What is, political leaders' duties to the country? What kind of ties can this leader have to foreign governments? It was just things that people were very much talking about at the time. So we kind of like tweaked the ending a little bit, and so what was once just like a cool movie, now it had like a little resonance to it. I don't want to give away too many spoilers for the people who haven't seen it, but it just became a different movie when we finished it in 2020. And then we did like a small festival run. I think we put it out on Vimeo on demand for a little bit, and it did not do well. And then we kind of sat on it for a while. No, we went to Vimeo. I think we went Vimeo first, and then we went to the festivals. And then finally, I was just like, I think Adam had kind of moved on. He had another project he wanted to be working on. And I was like, hey, we need to like put this out. Like, people need to see it. So then that's where I decided I was going to kind of create this launch for it on my own personal YouTube channel on Beau Batterson Presents. So what I did there was I made kind of like a behind the scenes video beforehand of like a video essay kind of thing. And then I was like, on November 16th, on my birthday, we're going to have the launch party. So Yeah, so then I just, created like a Facebook event and tried to get as many interviews as possible for that November 16th date. And like I remember watching it live 7 p.m. on November 16th. And it was like me and like 14 other people. And I was just like deflated. I was like, all this work and all I got was 14 other people. Not thinking that like it would get picked up in the YouTube algorithm. And now it's got like 14,000 views, which it's amazing. I've never had 14,000 people watch anything of mine ever. So amazing, like, yeah, it's a good feeling. So yeah, it's found its audience. People really like it. I'm really proud of it. Yeah,
as you should be, It's like I said, I've been waiting to do this interview, so afterwards I can go back and dissect it and go a little deeper into it, with my thoughts. I try not to do reviews before I talk to my guests.
Yeah.
Because that's happened before, and that sort of blew up in my face. It all worked out in the end, and I got a great friend out of it. But I learned my lesson, going like, okay, because I'm just I'm honest about the reviews. I'll tell you if I like it, I like it. If I don't, I don't.
Yeah. And that's very like I would be the worst film critic, I think, because like I know movies are hard to make, and like I never want to talk bad too much about a movie, and like my worst review is I'll be like, it's fine, like it's for somebody. I'm sure there's somebody who would like it.
No, you haven't seen Dustin Ferguson movie yet. Let me tell you, you would change your mind on that, without a doubt. You watch that, you go like, most of the time I'm objective, I'm not biased, but that's some horse shit.
Well, I'll tell you what, a bad movie is more fun to watch than a boring movie. Like I would love to watch a bad movie than one that's just fine. You know what I mean? Like,
you know what? I'm gonna test you out on that. I'm gonna send you a movie to watch, and I want to hear your review on it. I'm gonna send it to you on your Instagram, and then we'll put your mouse ears where it counts.
Okay.
I want to see you watch this movie. Then I want you to come back to me and tell me that you didn't sit there and go like, if I ever see that guy in real life.
Yeah. Look, I mean, I've been to a lot of festivals, and I judged for some festivals, and I've taught classes. Like I've seen the spectrum of quality. So
you still haven't seen. I mean, how do I put it? Let's see if I can put this in the context. Ed Wood, right? Everybody, yeah. Ed Wood, worst director ever, right? One of the worst directors ever.
Yes, but
Martin Scorsese compared to Dustin Ferguson.
Okay, but Plan 9 from Outer Space is a classic film that is must viewing for.
That first 5 minutes with Cruzel predict. Yeah. Oh my God, that's just awesome. I watch that sometimes on Tube. I just am amazed by like, how did they just do that? How do they actually, with a straight face, sit there and do that opening little monologue? It's like without losing their lunch and laughter.
Yeah,
but they didn't.
Yeah, and the Tim Burton Ed Wood movie is probably my favorite Tim Burton movie.
I have never seen his version of Ed Wood. I have to watch it because I want to see.
It's definitely my favorite Johnny Depp movie.
Really?
I think it is my favorite Tim Burton movie.
She's Johnny Depp, man.
And I love Batman, so.
Well, no, I was gonna sit there. I love The Ninth Gate. As far as my favorite Johnny Depp movie, yeah, I love The Ninth Gate. That's a great movie. Too bad it was directed by a piece of shit, but still a great movie. As far as acting goes. So what's next on tell us a little bit what's coming up with Big Thunder. Are you and your wife, do you both co-host it yourselves? Or just you and somebody else?
We are co-hosts. Basically, when I was convincing her to do this podcast with me, she was like, I will do it, but I cannot have anything more on my plate. Please do not ask me to prepare anything for it. So like, she really just comes in with like the color commentary, and she's there to play the games. She's there to provide some context, like the things she knows as a travel agent. But like, I'm the one, I gather the news stories and I come up with the game. that's on me. But yeah, she's like, look, you know, I have this, I have my travel agency job, and I have my 9 to 5, and I have other social media gigs, and I'm the one who like does our meal planning, and I'm the one who does the majority of running this house. Please don't put one more thing on my plate.
Right, right. I guess I can understand that. I can understand that. Um, I can't wait to see what happens. I'm going to keep an eye on it and tune in. And again, you can catch Big Thunder everywhere where podcasts are available. Bo also has the Instagram page, which if you want, you can scroll up at the top of the chat and subscribe to it. There's also the social media links down in the description box below. And we didn't really talk too much about the Iowa filmmaking scene this time, but next time when you come back, we definitely will.
Yeah, I've got a film that Adam and I are working on, and you know, whenever that gets finished up, maybe we'll come back and we'll talk more film.
Yeah, definitely want to. Definitely want to. The movie again is The Last Minute Till Midnight. It is out. We will be talking about it. I'll be providing the link for it on Bo's YouTube channel. Highly recommend it. Yeah, are you gonna be using the same cast? Are you gonna be using Jessica?
Jessica's not in this one. Angela's back for it.
Okay.
Angela
Okay.
Billman, who is also in Amelia 2.0.
Okay.
So yeah.
All right. So I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. Again, those who are watching the replay, thank you for doing so. Drop a comment, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button as well. Thank you to the chat again for coming out and hanging out with us. We are on our way over to Hobbs Horse channel at 10 o'clock. We will be there live and helping our good friend Hobbs out as he's going through some stuff. And we're all rallying around him. So I appreciate you guys going over there at 10 o'clock. Bo, I will see you in the line at Disney somewhere down the line. We'll stay in touch.
Yep.
Probably see you on the 22nd, if I'm not mistaken, if you're not working on Western County. If you're working on Western County, I will probably be seeing you again.
Maybe I'm doing post work, whatever Michael wants me to do. Like, I usually don't ask any questions. He's just like, hey, do you want to do VFX? Yes, I will, Michael, whatever you need.
Yeah, we'll be talking the Wicked Ways of Worcester County on the 22nd. That's gonna be a lot of fun. I want to see who he's bringing as far as the acting cast goes. I definitely want to see who he's bringing. I think there could be some fresh faces, and I'm looking forward to it. I love Iowa. I love you guys' community. I love you guys' spirit. It's always a pleasure to interview somebody from Iowa, and I'm looking forward to on the 22nd. It'll be a lot of fun. All right. Tomorrow night, I really don't know what's going on tomorrow night. I don't know. We might be here. I might push tomorrow night back to June. I'm not sure. Well, just come here at 8 o'clock. If I'm here at 8 o'clock, that means we'll be talking with Rhea Gardner from Spirit of Animals. If you don't see me here tomorrow night, that means I moved the show somewhere to June, and because quite honestly, I did not really I didn't do her due diligence, so I am thinking I need to do that. So I'm thinking I might be needing to move the show, but I'm going to leave it up to her. If I'm here tomorrow, well, we'll talk. If not, we will see you sometime next week. Stay right where you're at, Bo, and to everybody else, thanks for coming out. We will talk at you soon.
Yeah, thanks for having me.